Section 19 of Journal of the Reverend Francis Asbury, Volume 2. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Brian Keenan. Monday 4. I preached at Pearisburg to a full house. Some of the women appeared to feel the word. We had a heavy ride. I was faint and low-spirited at the view which I could not fail to take of the state of professors and sinners. I had about 50 hearers, and was invited to a friend's house, but thought it best to pursue my journey. We came to Saltcatcher's Bridge, where we stopped to pay our fare. But oh, the scent of rum, and men filled with it! How shocking! Who could enter such a house? I hoped for quiet private entertainment at Red Hill, but the gentlemen refused to receive us for love, money, or hospitality's sake. I then sent Brother R. to know if we could get in at the next Negro quarter. Into the house we might be permitted to enter, but we could get no corn for our horses, and no bed for ourselves. Overseers dare not, and their employers will not, receive strangers. They are too proud to sell, and too covetous to give. At length we providentially reached a Mr. C.'s, a schoolmaster and minister. We bought some corn for our horses, and had tea and bread and cheese for ourselves. I saw some beautiful boys at this house. Had these children the opportunity of a northern education, what choice young men they might make! I was happy in the house, and pleased with 2 poor blacks, who were much moved under prayer. Next morning I set out about 6 o'clock, and passing the fish pond, we came on slowly to Parker's Ferry. I found my appointment to meet Brother Jackson was not properly made, and as it was out of my way, I made a sudden turn to G's on Edisto River. After dinner I met with , who offered to be our guide. But when I began to show him his folly and the dangerous state of his soul, he soon left us, and we had to beat our way through the swamps as well as we could. He said he had killed a Negro worth 60 pounds, and a valuable horse with racing. Pushing on, we found our way to the ferry and crossed about 8 o'clock. I laid me down at 9, and rose again at 7 o'clock in the morning and set out. Traveling through heavy rains, deep swamps in dark nights, makes both man and beast feel the effect of yesterday's journey of 45 miles. My mind has been severely agitated this tour. I have ridden about 650 miles in 1 month, lacking 1 day. Charleston, Friday 8. I have got through Mr. Wesley's journal as far as 1782. Finding the subscription set on foot at the conference to purchase a burying ground and build a house was likely to succeed, we began to think about looking out for a lot. I also see a prospect of stationing 2 preachers here. Sunday 10. I preached with some life on Ezekiel 36:25-26. But, alas, the people are so dissipated and so ignorant of gospel truth that it is difficult to preach to them. But I cannot spare, though they keep their course to hell. At night I spoke on Isaiah 6:8-10. Our congregation consists of 500 souls and upwards, 300 being black. I have seen Mr. Johnson, the last president of the orphan house in Georgia, who confirmed what I had written respecting it. Charleston is a growing, busy, dreadfully dissipated place. The printed list of vessels in the harbor sets forth 53 ships, 55 brigs, 25 sloops, 25 schooners, 7 snows, and 2 barks, besides pilot boats and coasters. Monday 11. Met the women's class, white and black, and had a powerful meeting. They agreed to hold a prayer meeting once a week amongst themselves. Tuesday 12. I make it my work to visit every afternoon. I happily met with Mr. Wesley's journal, bringing the date down to 2 years before his death. I could not but specially notice that his latter days were more abundant in labors, and that he preached in places formerly unnoticed. He made this observation so fixed on my mind that it is rare, a mere miracle, for a Methodist to increase in wealth and not decrease in grace. I have now read the 3rd volume of Gordon's History, Burnham's Select Martyrology, and Memoirs of Dying Saints. We have 217 traveling preachers, and about 50,000 members in the United States. Glory to God in the highest. Saturday, 16. I met the stewards and leaders. It was agreed that every other meeting should be purely spiritual, speaking experience and opening their hearts to each other. Sunday, 17. I preached on Romans 3, 11 through 21. In the evening was very low, but was very plain on Luke 16, 31. The building of a new house, and stationing another preacher in this city, and the state of this and the Georgia districts, with things relative to individuals in this society, do not work to my mind. I felt as if the charm was near breaking. Some wish union, others will come back. The union must first take place with Dr. C., then with the British Conference, and then with the American. I ask, who made us twain, and strove to scatter firebrands, arrows, and death through the whole continent? Wednesday, 20. I had an interview with Dr. A., who came from the north for his health. Seeing him so low, and fearing he would die if he stayed here, I hastily invited him to ride out into the country with me. Thursday, 21. We left the city on small horses, with heavy baggage. We came to the cypress swamp in the night, following a poor Negro, who waded through as a guide, and not expecting to find it as bad as it was. At length we came to Sister B.'s, and were kindly received. I found no appointments were made for me, owing to Brother Blank being sick. Friday, 22. We set out for Santee, but missed our way, and took the road to Four Holds Bridge, being 6 miles out of our course. We again directed our course to Santee, and after coming within sight of Manigault's Ferry, I took a wrong road, and went 3 miles up the river. We came to Mr. H.'s, where we were comfortable, and had whatever we wanted. Saturday, 23. We had our difficulties in getting across the river. The overseer had moved the flat to the middle ground, and would not suffer anyone to have it. I entreated him in behalf of the sick, but in vain. Had we waited a few minutes longer, our dear Brother B. would have been there to conduct us. I have lately had cross winds. The roads, myself, Satan, and my sick companion, Dr. A., have all been matter of trial to me. Sunday, 24. I preached the funeral of our Brother B. on Isaiah 57:1. The congregation was large and attentive, but appeared stupid and unfeeling. Monday, 25. Came to Brother B.'s, the weather as sultry as in the month of July in the north. We rode 30 miles. Thursday, 28. The weather was exceedingly cold, so that we declined going to the chapel, but had a comfortable meeting at Brother R.'s on Ephesians 6:10 through 20. Saturday, March 2. We crossed the water at E's Ferry and came to Father M.'s, an Englishman, from Epworth, who was formerly converted, but, living under antinomian dotages, he lost the blessing. I trust the Lord hath again restored him by means of our labors. Here we have a chapel and society. Sunday, 3. This day was rainy, yet nearly 400 souls came together. But I could not fix the attention of the people, nor get them to understand. Monday, 4. Came to H's, and thence through Columbia, the capital of South Carolina. Brother Ellis, who is nearly risen from the dead, accompanied me from M's. Having left one sick man, I now take up another. We came to a house 5 miles from Columbia. We got a little bread, drank our own tea, had our horses fed, and paid $2 next morning. So the matter ended. Tuesday, 5. We had our difficulties in crossing the river, which was rising, and in beating up Cedar Creek 15 miles, much of it through the woods. In the evening we came greatly wearied to ours, and were kindly entertained. It may be that Providence sent us here for some good. The man and his wife feel the want of religion. Wednesday, 6. We came to Little River Bridge. crossed at Ferry, and at length came, thoroughly wearied, to Brother Finch's. I expect we have been forced to ride 20 or 30 miles out of our way among strangers, on account of high waters. My mind has been variously tried. I have been employed in improving myself in the Hebrew tones and points, this being my horseback study. Thursday, 7. Preached at F's. I consulted the minds of our brethren about building a house for conference, preaching, and a district school. But I have no ground to believe that our well-laid plan will be executed. Our preachers are unskillful, and our friends have little money. Friday, 8. The rains continued, and the waters kept up. Crossed Enery, high and rising powerfully. Tiger River being impassable, we rode to Cokesbridge, and had a hungry time. Came to Brother W.'s near Union Courthouse. I next day preached to a few people at the open meeting house, with some spiritual opening and sweetness. We were closely employed in writing subscriptions for the district school, and copies of the constitutions. Great rains still continue. Thursday, 14. I preached at Flat Rock in an open house to an unfeeling people. Thence we came to Pacolet. The waters were up, but for our money we got across in a flat that had drifted and was taken up. Friday, 15. Came to Father S.'s, a German, first a Baptist, then a Methodist, but last, and best of all, a Christian. Saturday and Sunday, 16-17. Attended quarterly meeting in Union Circuit. There were no elders present. I preached on Ephesians 6:10-18, and felt a great death among the people. Sunday we administered the sacrament and held love feast. I desired D.A. to preach, and Brother G. to exhort, whilst I retired to write to I.S., desiring him to take the presidentship of Union, Catawba, Little P.D., Great P.D., Anson, and Santee circuits. The people hereabouts have been poorly handled by those who, whilst they made a great profession of religion, maintained antinomian principles and practice. I have been unwell, occasioned by the change of seasons, houses, and tables. Came to Brother M.'s on Sunday evening to get a day of rest. I feel the want of religion in families, congregations, and societies. I have traveled about 300 miles the last 3 weeks, and have escaped the excessive rains, but have had to wrestle with floods. North Carolina, Monday, 18. I spent in writing sundry letters to the North, and in my favorite study. Tuesday, 19. I had a full house at L's. I felt very unfit for public exercises, both in body and mind. I have little desire to come here again. We can hardly get entertainment. We want brethren and children here. A woman invited us to her house, but when I understood the distance, I determined to haste along, and made it about 30 miles to F's, in the cove of the mountain, where we rested in peace, after getting a little Indian bread, fried bacon, and drinking some of our tea. Our lodging was on a bed set upon forks, and clapboards laid across, in an earthen floor cabin. But worse than all the rest, these people decline in religion. I feel awful for them on this account. Next morning about sunrise, we took the path up the mountain. I sent D.A. to Dr. Busnell's, to inquire if there was any expectation of my coming to Burke to preach, for being indisposed, I intended to turn aside to John's River. D.A. returned, and the doctor's nephew pursued, and brought us to town, where I gave them a plain, pointed sermon on "The Son of Man is come to seek and save that which was lost." Every one, young and old, lawyers, doctors, and clerks, were obliging, attentive, and serious. Dr. Busnell is a man I have heard of these 20 years, but knew him not until now. He descended from the Bohemians. His son Joseph was happily brought home to God by means of the Methodists. He lived to God, and died in Winchester about 12 months ago. The doctor's usage to me was that of a gentleman and Christian. The transition with respect to entertainment was very great. Here we had a table, bed, room, and whatever we wanted. But all this could not give me rest, having a return of my rheumatic and nervous complaints. Friday, 22. Rode up to John's River. I am heavy, cannot attend study nor mental prayer, and company is irksome. Oh, that my soul were always flaming with perfect love. In the evening 8 of us met together, and conversed on the work of God. All was love. Brother P. gave us an animating sermon on By whom shall Jacob arise, for he is small. Sunday, 24. I preached on 1 Corinthians 14:3. There was a noise and a shaking each day. Some were awakened. One professed to be converted, and several to be quickened. The meeting lasted from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. While he was yet speaking, there came also another. I heard there was a conference appointed at Reese's Chapel in Charlotte County, Virginia, to form what they call a free constitution and a pure church, and to reject me and my creatures. I know not whose hand is in this. I hope they will call themselves by another name. Only let them settle in congregations and tax the people, and I know how it will work. If we, the itinerant connection, would give the government into the hands of a local ministry, as some would have it, and tax the people to pay preachers for Sabbath work, this would please such men. But this we dare not do. Whenever the people are unwilling to receive us, and think they can do better, we will quietly withdraw from them. And if those who wish the change can serve them better than we have done, well. Perhaps some of them may think with in Georgia that I am the greatest villain on the continent. I bid such adieu, and appeal to the bar of God. I have no time to contend, having better work to do. If we lose some children, God will give us more. Ah, this is the mercy, the justice of some, who, under God, owe their all to me, and my tyrants so-called. The Lord judge between them and me. There appears to be a general quickening in the Yadkin circuit, and about 8 souls have professed conversion there in the last 3 months. Monday, 25. I rested and prepared to cross the Harman Harim, the multitude of mountains. Tuesday, 26. We rode up the meanders of John's River to the Globe, and met a few people at Mr. Moore's, a Baptist, a very kind head of a respectable family. Wednesday, 27. We began our journey over the great ridge of mountains. We had not gone far before we saw and felt the snow. The sharpness of the air gave me a deep cold, not unlike an influenza. We came to the head of Watauga River, stopped at Mr. S.'s, and had some enlargement on "The promise is to you and to your children," etc. My soul felt for these neglected people. It may be, by my coming this way, Providence will so order it, that I shall send them a preacher. We hasted on to Cove's Creek, invited ourselves to stay at C's, where we made our own tea, obtained some butter and milk, and some most excellent Irish potatoes. We were presented with a little flax for our beds, on which we spread our coats and blankets, and 3 of us slept before a large fire. Thursday, 28. We made an early start, and came to the Beaver Dam. 3 years ago we slept here in a cabin without a cover. We made a breakfast at Mr. W.'s, and then attempted the iron or stone mountain, which is steep like the roof of a house. I found it difficult and trying to my lungs to walk up it. Descending the mountain, we had to jump down the steep stairs, from 2 to 3 and 4 feet. At the foot of this mountain our guide left us to a man on foot. He soon declined, and we made the best of our way to Duggar's Ford, on Rowan's Creek. We came down the river, where there are plenty of large, round, rolling stones, and the stream was rapid. My horse began to grow dull, an intermittent fever and a deep cold disordered me much. I was under obligations to Henry Hill, my new aide, who was ready to do anything for me in his power. Perhaps Providence moved him to offer to travel with me, and his father to recommend him. 20 years ago a rude open loft did not affect me. Now it seldom fails to injure me. Tennessee, Friday, 29. We took our journey deliberately. We passed Doe River at the fork and came through the gap. A most gloomy scene, not unlike the shades of death in the Allegheny Mountain. Mr. L., a kind Presbyterian, fed our horses gratis. I must give the Presbyterians the preference for respect to ministers. We prayed and came on to , a kind people, but to our sorrow we find it low times for religion on Holstein and Watauga rivers. In Green Circuit there is some increase. My way opens, and I think I shall go to Kentucky. I laid my hands on what is called the Principles of Politeness, imitated from Chesterfield. It contains some judicious remarks, and shows the author to have been a man of sense and education, but of no religion. He recommends some things contrary thereto. Tuesday, April 2. Our conference began at Nelson's, near Jonesboro, in the new territory. We have only 4 or 5 families of Methodists here. We had sweet peace in our conference. Wednesday, 3. I gave an exhortation after Brothers H. and M. H. had preached, and there was a melting among the people. Thursday, 4. I had a happy time at my old friend C.'s. I am pained for his children, who are yet unconverted. Friday, 5. Rode to Nolichucky and attended a meeting at Squire E.'s, where I had about 200 hearers. We have formed a society in this place of 31 members, most of them new. There are appearances of danger on the road to Kentucky, but the Lord is with us. We have formed a company of 9 men, 5 of whom are preachers, who are well armed and mounted. Saturday, 6. Rode to Green and crossed the Grand Island ford of Nolichucky. The lowlands are very rich, the uplands barren. Stopped and fed at Green Courthouse. Here was brought a corpse to the grave in a covered carriage drawn by 4 horses. Solemn sight. Be instructed, O my soul. A whiskey toper gave me a cheer of success as one of John Wesley's congregation. I came on alone through heavy rains, over bad hills and poor ridges, to Brother Van Pelt's, on Lick Creek. He is brother to Peter, my old first friend on Staten Island. I was weary, damp, and hungry, but had a comfortable habitation, and kind, loving people, who heard, refreshed, and fed me. We had a large congregation at Brother Van Pelt's chapel, where I had liberty in speaking. I left the young men to entertain the people a while longer, and returned and read Mr. Wesley's sermon on riches. If reports be true, there is danger in journeying through the wilderness, but I do not fear. We go armed. If God suffer Satan to drive the Indians on us, if it be his will, he will teach our hands to war, and our fingers to fight and conquer. Monday, 8. Our guard appeared, fixed and armed for the wilderness. We came down to Ease, and were well entertained. Thence we proceeded on to the main branch of Holstein, which, being swelled, we crossed in a flat. Thence to ours, where I found the reports relative to the Indians were true. They had killed the post and 1 or 2 more, and taken some prisoners. I had not much thought or fear about them. Tuesday, 9. We came off. There were only 8 in our company, and 8 in the other, 2 women and 3 children. We had 2 poor sinners that set themselves to work wickedness. They would not let us go foremost, so we took it patiently and followed up to the Cumberland station. I went to Robinson's station, where the soldiers behaved civilly. We gave them 2 exhortations and had prayer with them. They honored me with the swinging hammock, a bearskin, which was as great a favor to me as the governor's bed. Here I slept well. Kentucky, East Line, Wednesday, 10. We hasted on our way, meeting with our troubles at the foot of Cumberland Mountain. We then went foremost and traveled at a great rate, the roads being uncommonly good. We fed on the banks of Cumberland River, and kept up the head of rich lands. We then pushed through Little and Big Laurel to the Hazel Patch, Hood's station. Here there was high life below stairs, talking, laughing, etc. We had a troop of poor, very poor sinners. I gave dreadful offense by a prayer I made. After resting here from 3 to 6, we urged our way along the new road to Rock Castle, fed at the deserted station, and hasted to Willis Green's, but missing our way, did not get in until 8 o'clock. A supper at that time was good, and a bed was better, having not slept in one for 3 nights, and having ridden 100 miles in 2 days. I felt so well in the morning I was ready to set out for Salt River. I went to Danville and set myself down in Mr. Rice's church. Thence to F. Clark's, where I was not expected, but was quite welcome. I left my aide and pack horse at G's to rest. End of section 19. Recording by Brian Keenan.